Some professional protesters in downtown Vancouver against the proposed Enbridge pipeline to bring oil from the oil sands to the West Coast. Well, we talk a lot about the politics of oil and pipelines, but what about the guys who would get work making the pipe, the construction workers, the pipe fitters? Joining us now from Ottawa is Bob Blakely, the Canadian director of the Building and Construction Trades Union. 450,000 Canadian members. Welcome to the show, Mr. Blakely.
Thank you.
I had no idea that there was 450,000, maybe a few more, members of the Construction Workers and Building Trades Union in Canada. How important would the Northern Gateway pipeline be to your members?
Well, it's really important to the members in two ways. The guys who work on the pipeline, yes, they're going to get some pipeline jobs, but for the people who work in Fort McMurray and the people who will work downstream on the pipeline, the pipeline is a conduit that connects thousands and thousands of 50-year, high-paying, great careers on each end of the pipeline. If you don't have a pipeline to transport the product, there's no need to take it out of the ground.
Now, I agree with you on this. I mean, it would be like having a car factory in Windsor and shutting down the bridge to the United States. If you can't get the cars to the market, no point in making them. Now, I understand that the Enbridge pipeline, the Northern Gateway pipeline, is between $5 and $6 billion worth of construction and other expenditures. That sounds like it's got to be one of the largest public works projects in BC, if not all of Canada. Just how many jobs would that create in the construction, and how many of those would be unionized in your estimate? Well,
if you look at it, we have a deal with Enbridge, which is, I think we're guaranteed 65% of the work. And if you look at the number of spreads, I think it comes out to somewhere in the range of 25,000 person years worth of work. So for our members and the contracting community that we work with, it probably turns into 50,000 jobs, over 2 years.
That's amazing. Now, what would a 30-year-old guy who's, let's say, skilled or semi-skilled member of your trades, what would he be making? I mean, obviously there's 100 different jobs in building a pipeline, but what could a young guy with a little bit of education in the trades make working on a pipeline like that?
The guy making, the guy who's doing the welding, he's a highly skilled guy. He's required to have a number of compulsory certifications. That guy will make $150,000 a year. The apprentice, or someone who is trying to learn, the guy that's hustling skids on the line, probably make $85,000.
That's pretty serious money for young people. I want to ask you this. I mean, it seems so obvious to me that if you care about jobs, and in your case, unionized jobs, this is a no-brainer. What do you say to those folks that we just showed a clip of in downtown Vancouver? They look like professional protesters to me, the usual suspects at the Occupy Vancouver, I don't know, more protests. What would you say to those young people who, if they get their way, there won't be any pipeline? What would you say to them if they were here right now?
I think what I'd say to them is they haven't really thought this issue through. As it sits now, we are sitting on the second largest pool of accessible crude oil in the world. The only way it does us any good as a country is if we can get it to an export market. Currently, we have a domestic market which is really small because our population is small, and we're still importing oil into Eastern Canada. We have one market that is the American market, and we are held hostage to American domestic politics.
Listen, every word you're saying rings true to me, but there are other labor union leaders in Canada, and I'm not trying to get you to pick a fight with others, but I'll mention, for example, the head of the CEP union, which includes a lot of workers in Fort McMurray. He has come out against the oil sands. Why is it, I'm not asking you to pick a fight with him, but why is it that some other labor leaders who you'd think would be all for these six-figure jobs, why have they thrown their lot in with the environmentalists? Help me understand that.
Well, I don't think they've thrown their lot in with the environmentalists. I think they've thrown their lot in with, we want to produce the finished product here in Canada. The truth is, if we refined every drop of oil in Fort McMurray, we would still have to get it to a market.
Yeah, we'd still need a pipe. I want to show you a quick conversation I had with a union member who was protesting against the oil patch last month in Toronto. It's just a quick clip. I'd love your thoughts on this. Are you with the United Steelworkers?
I am, yeah.
How come you're against the oil sands?
Well, because we believe this country is being sold off piece by piece to foreign corporations, and the interests of working people and of Indigenous people are being trampled.
I guess, Mr. Blakely, that goes to your point about some union members want to refine it here. Well, the biggest refinery in Canada happens to be in New Brunswick, and is there a practical way to build a pipeline from the west, from Alberta, all the way to New Brunswick? Can we ship Alberta oil to New Brunswick to replace the OPEC oil that they're using as their feedstock? And is this something your members are looking at?
Very much so. We've certainly had a number of conversations with Enbridge and TransCanada about that. When you think about it, Alberta oil going to the Irving refinery in New Brunswick is really a form of nation building. As it sits now, they buy oil at the world price, the Brent crude price, and they're at a 25% cost increase. If Alberta crude at the rates it's going, the Alberta Sweet Crude Index, Synthetic Crude Index, gas prices would go down in New Brunswick, gas prices would go down in Quebec, gas prices would go down in Ontario. We could feed the refineries in Canada with Canadian oil. Another customer for Canadian oil, and Irving and a couple of other people could compete into the US market on a better than level playing field.
Well, that sounds like a win-win-win to me. Mr. Blakely, we're out of time today, but I'm very grateful to you for bringing a perspective we don't hear enough of. I hope to have you on the show again to talk about the importance of this industry to working men and women. Thanks for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Hey.